Welcome to Hammer and Nails with Skip and Alison Bedell.
We're back. What's happening, everybody? I'm Skip Bedell.
I'm Alison Bedell.
I want to thank you all for coming back to Hammer and Nails Podcast. Here we are again.
So, I'm pretty excited because you know what day today is?
I could say a lot of things, none of which would be appropriate, so why don't you just tell me what day it is?
It's Tip Tuesday.
Oh, it's Tip Tuesday.
Tip Tuesday!
See where my mind's going. I'm thinking something dirty, I'm thinking tonight's the night.
Yeah. No, we got a lot of good questions from people, so we're going to get to that.
Tip Tuesday. I
in a
love
little while.
Tip. Is it Tuesday already?
Yeah. I wanted to also mention about our last podcast. We had the guys from New Life Crisis on.
These guys are awesome.
Yeah, we really enjoyed doing that. And we got a lot of positive feedback on it. People really dug listening to them.
You guys got to go on their sites. Jeff Allegue, Paul Mahas, and Jeff had his son Grant here too.
Yeah.
Check out their stuff because they're all doing like really cool musical things.
Yeah.
Especially Jeff and his son Grant have that duo thing they do too. So
yeah, but most notably was the day before we aired it, coincidentally, Prince had died.
Oh, God, I know.
And I can't even believe it. It's just crazy how many icons are dying.
Just like in the last year or so many people, right? And
David Bowie.
And really young, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Prince is 57. I mean, that's way too young. So we have yet to hear all the final details. You know, there's always more to the picture.
There's a lot of speculation so far. They already did the autopsy, which didn't reveal anything, so they're waiting for the toxicology to come back to see if that is telling. And
a lot of people have stepped forward actually in the last day or so, friends and family, and have said that, he led a very clean life. Drug and alcohol, not a big part of his life. Ate really well. He was known to be a vegan, I think.
But on the flip side, he also had some hip surgery, I think about 5 years ago or so. And apparently, in the week prior to his death, he had been spotted at a pharmacy. He was at the Walgreens, looking anxious, waiting for his Percocet prescription. He had an overdose the week before he died. Wow. He was on an airplane, and they had emergency landed him because he had overdosed, and they had to administer Narcan, which is that drug that you put by the nostrils.
You have had training on that on your job, right?
Yeah, we all get it. The police get it. We all get it now, so that what it does is it completely reverses the effect of an opiate. And it puts you into an immediate withdrawal. It like erases the opiates that are in your system.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's got to be like hitting a brick wall at 100 miles an hour, right? If you're like, cruising along on a crazy high, and all of a sudden, boom, that's it, done.
Yeah. So it saves lives. We've discussed this before actually with Joe, and my opinion, I of course would always administer it to anybody if I had it with me and they had overdosed.
Yeah.
I would always use it, of course. My personal opinion on that whole thing is irrelevant, but I just kind of feel like when you put a drug addict into a forced withdrawal, and you remove the drugs from their system, that doesn't mean that they're okay all of a sudden. They're still an addict. They're still going to use again.
If they're going through the symptoms of, an overdose like that, which could be terminal, at that point, it's a catastrophic thing going on. They might be going to heart failure.
I kind of feel like you're just prolonging the inevitable.
At least that's going to, stop that immediate problem. But
it's like if they're going to get well, they need to want to get well. They need to get treatment. They need to pursue getting well. Right. So, oftentimes you're saving a life that's going to they're going to end up killing themselves at some point anyway. And between the time that you save them and the time that they do that, It's the stress on their family, the stress on the people who they are burglarizing to support that habit. It's just,
let's not make
it's a
this
whole
too,
world of misery.
too dark. It is Tip Tuesday.
It's Tip Tuesday.
Yeah. So, let's keep it in the moment.
Okay.
There,
So anyway,
sweetie.
so
all right.
Prince, So apparently he had some issue with opiates, and I wouldn't be surprised if that shows up on
regardless
toxicology.
of what he died from, we lost an amazing talent, a legendary musician, an all-time great. What a lot of people don't know about Prince is that he's one of the only musicians that are really well known for actually doing everything in his recording process. What I mean by that, when he sits down and records an album, he plays every single instrument on that album, from the drums to the guitar, the bass line.
Yeah, you told me that once,
Yeah,
and I was
strings,
surprised.
the lead vocal tracks, all the backing harmony and background vocal tracks, everything he does one track at a time, and he engineers the entire thing. He sits in the mixing room and he engineers the whole thing. So he's really like a one-man show. And we were watching an interview just recently with L.A. Reid, who is obviously a world-famous producer, many years, brought up a lot of major talent artists, and dear friend to Prince. And he was like, more
importantly, L.A. Reid used to be married to Pebbles.
Okay, well, it's kind of irrelevant at
and
this
then
point.
Pebbles discovered TLC.
Yeah, L.A. Reid said that he was, no doubt, hands down, just a phenomenon. There was no one that he could think of on the planet that had more talent than Prince, that was able to do all of that with his music. So
yeah, and you never heard about any controversy or any bullshit going on with him.
He's just one of those guys that really just loved his music. His music was everything. Just a lyrical genius, a musical genius. Just a very sad day.
It's also like
in the music world,
an eye opener, because it reminds you that no matter how much money people have, how many houses, how many luxuries they have, you're still just a human being, that your life can end suddenly, unexpectedly, and you really, the most important thing is people and your relationships with them, and your personal happiness, not what you have and how much you have, because here we are, we're living, he's dead, and it's like, just because he had money, it didn't save him.
Right.
So it's like, thank God that we have each other and our happiness, and no matter what happens to us, we have something that everybody wishes they had.
Yeah, well, family and friends are the most important thing, and you have to be grateful for what you have, and take care of yourselves out there,
Yeah.
Take care of yourself, and of course, we'll finish up this whole piece. We're getting into the deep zone.
Yeah,
but
I'm feeling so deep.
It's a sad thing that we lost such a great talent, and another one on the long list of people recently that have seemed to be dropping like flies. So,
yeah.
So farewell to Prince. Your music will ever be remembered, and let's move on with some happy stuff.
Okay, I wanted to mention that I had gotten some comments on Facebook and what was it, and Instagram. I had posted a picture of our cat, and a lot of people were surprised to hear that we have Sphinx.
Oh, that was like the porno picture?
Yeah. But then I posted another one of
Hercules
Venus.
Was in like a full-blown spread shot.
Yeah. It was like a really interesting acrobatic type feat where most men would wish that they could do this. But
he had like his ankles behind his head, right?
Yeah. He was cleaning himself. He was in the middle of cleaning himself. Yeah. So we have Sphinx cats, which are the hairless cats. They don't have any fur. I guess you would call them furless. They don't have any. They're naked. Their skin is like ours. And I have had.
Think of Mr. Bigglesworth in
Mr.
Austin
Bigglesworth.
Powers, right?
Yep. It's the world's rarest cat. They're also extremely expensive. I had my first Sphinx she was born in 1998. And they're good for people who have allergies to cats.
I do.
Yeah, and so do I.
Definitely.
What the allergen on cats is, or an allergen, is dander. Dander is what is left behind on the skin after you lick it. It's the saliva when it dries. That's the dander. So some people are allergic to that, and if you're allergic to that, Sphinx won't help. But if you're allergic to like the fur, which I am, these are definitely better for you. And so are the Devon Rex, which we also have a Devon Rex. He just turned 17. So I got my first Sphinx back in 98. And people always have these questions about them. What are they like? What do they feel like? Do they get cold? Do they feel hot? So I'll just give you like a little brief summary on the Sphinx because I was getting a lot of questions and feedback on that. So basically, the Sphinx, like people who have different skins, some people have dry skin, some people are greasy, some people are hairy, some people aren't. Same thing with the Sphinx. Some of them feel like a peach, some feel like a rubber ball, some are greasy, some have dry skin. It's a little bit of everything. If you have a good show quality, which means that it's close to the standard as written as it's supposed to be with the Cat Fancy Association type, when they go to a show and when they get judged. If it's like it's supposed to be, they don't have any fur on them at all. And every once in a while, you'll get one that has some fuzz on its body somewhere. Sometimes they grow a patch, and then it falls out, and it goes away.
It's like a soul patch.
Yeah. Boo Boo used to get a patch on her hip. I think she used to get it, like, in the fall, and then it would be gone, like, for the rest of the year.
She had it right on the end of her tail, too.
Yeah, she had a fluff at the end of her tails, and in the winter, sometimes she would grow fluff on her paws, if you remember.
Yeah.
And
the rest of her was completely bald.
Right, yeah. And she had more of like a peach feel. And then we had this other one, Danny, who died the day before our wedding a few years ago, 4 years ago. He was not like a peach. He was more like rubbery, right? He had more of like a rubber feel to him.
Yeah.
He was balder. And we put sweaters on them, but if you're cold in the house, they'll be cold. They like to be under blankets. They like to sit on the heaters. They like to be warm, just like regular cats do.
They're definitely cool, though. Their personality, I think, is different than other cats because I've been around, a lot of different types of cats.
Yeah, different breeds have different personalities.
They're like almost like dogs.
Yeah.
They have they want to be around you all the time. They want to play. They're really affectionate. Where a lot of cats are kind of like, standoffish and they'll come around you when they want you to, they want to be with you, and then like you don't see them again for a couple of days. They're off like hiding under the couch or something. These cats are very much like a dog, really. You know? Yeah, they're very cool.
Yeah, and Skip never had
Scat.
Skip never had a cat.
There's a new one.
Until we were together. So this was a whole new experience for him, not only having a cat, but having hairless cats and also the Devon Rex breed. They have wavy fur, and it's really cool. They look like aliens. They have like wide faces and big ears, and they look like aliens. So we've got that too. So, so now we have two.
It's a regular cat house.
Yeah, we have two Sphinx. We have one Devon Rex right now. Am I forgetting anybody? We're down to 3 cats.
That's it.
We've had some deaths in the family.
That's it.
And we've got the 2 dogs. So if you go on Facebook or my Instagram or Twitter, I posted a picture of our little girl, Venus, who is very beautiful. And if you want to see what she looks like, she's out there. So I just wanted to mention that because I was getting a lot of
they're great
questions.
Looking cats too, because they have usually really, really vivid color eyes. So like Venus is like a bright greenish yellow, almost like antifreeze color eyes, and Hercules' eyes are bright blue, like super.
Yeah, they're very
super blue.
Blue is a rare color for cat eyes. Actually, the most popular color is gold.
Yeah.
And she is his daughter. We had actually gotten him from a friend. I had a friend who copied all of my pets. This is before I met Skip. So if I had a Chihuahua, he got a Chihuahua. I got a Min Pin, he got a Min Pin. I had the Sphinx, he got a Sphinx. So then he ended up having so many pets that at some point he couldn't care for them all. So then he started getting rid of them. Yeah, so then he started giving them away. So I had always said I got dibs on the Min Pin.
That's a really strange thing that copied your pets.
Yeah, it just became too much of
like you get a new dog and the next week like he'd have a new dog.
Yeah, it was like just beyond coincidence to have the same exact pets.
You wound up with them all anyway.
Yes. So I ended up with the Min Pin, which is Harley. And then Hercules was also his, and he had a female Sphinx that had a litter. He had 3 litters, actually, and Venus was a product of one of those litters.
Yeah.
And we hand-raised her since she was born.
Yeah, we saw her come out and actually bottle fed her.
Yep.
And, right?
Yeah, because her mama didn't have enough milk.
Before her eyes even opened.
Yeah.
I had never seen a baby kitten like that, like right from birth, and it's just a really
and
cool,
she's bald on top of that.
Yeah, it's a very cool experience.
Like a little mouse.
I had no idea. Yeah, they look like like a little mouse.
Yeah. So she grew up in this house. We hand fed her, and now this is her forever place. So so she's really cool.
All right, so there you go. The whole rundown on the
I used to be the crazy cat lady.
Bedells Zoo.
Before I met Skip, I think back in the late 90s even. Yeah, I was getting really, really into cats. I was going to cat shows. I put my cats in cat shows. I was hanging out with the kind of people at cat shows that wear cat sweatshirts and have cat jewelry.
Like the crazy
cat jewelry.
Crazy cat ladies.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little overboard with some of that stuff.
Yep,
yeah.
I was hanging out with those people. I was going to the shows and I was becoming one of those people. I was going to start my own breeding program, and my cat Danny was going to be the beginning
and
of that.
Instead, you met me, and now we have our own breeding program.
Yeah.
We don't actually breed anything; we just practice a lot. But yeah,
yeah. So I went back in the day when I was fat and had brown hair and small boobies.
Wait a second, you were fat and had small boobies?
Yeah. Yep. Oh God, that's another. If you guys want to see me when I was fat back in the day, that's an Instagram. I got a before and after picture on Instagram.
A couple of fat years, that's it, right? Because I've
in
your
college,
teenage years and college years, and a kid, you're always like.
I was always always thin.
Always, had a great body. I've seen a bunch of bikini shots of you when you were much younger.
Yeah, and I was always able to eat. But then as I got older, it caught up with me. My metabolism changed into an adult's. And I started slowly gaining weight from about like 22, 23 up until about 26. And I got about 200. I was about 200 pounds. Uh-huh.
You were up there.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
That's not that heavy considering that you're only like 4'8". How tall are you?
5'5". I've been saying 5'6" my whole life. Actually, I was 5'6", but my most recent bone scan, they also measure you, and I'm 5'5". So I've already started the decline of my.
You're on the shrink.
Yep, I'm on the shrink right now.
Shrinkage.
My dad used to be taller too. He definitely shrunk. So
George Costanza, it's shrinkage.
Yeah, it blows. It blows. Like one thing after the next. I feel with the effects of aging.
Right.
It's very sad. Old fuck.
What's Sir Mix-a-Lot say? 24, 36, only.
No, 36, 24, 36. Only if she 5'3".
Right.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
You're pretty close to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that. So anyway,
so what do we got?
So we went to Design on a Dime last week. Also, we were talking about that we were going to do that. We did that on Thursday night last week.
For those of you guys who don't know what Design on a Dime is, it's actually a really cool charity function to where all of the top designers, a lot of New York City designers, but actually they come from all over the place, come and they set up like a room basically in this. It's a giant exhibition place, a beautiful building, right?
Metropolitan Pavilion.
Yeah, so it's just like a big giant open room, and they build a bunch of little rooms, almost like if you would go to a trade show and everybody has a booth.
Yeah.
But these are like a little room, and in that room they basically design that room.
Right.
Everything from the paint to the furniture to everything.
Everything in the room is donated.
Right.
But they find things that will look nice together, and they create a room with a look that they want with all the donated items, and everything in each room is for sale.
Right.
It's to raise money for the homeless who have AIDS.
Yeah. So walking around this thing, it's just amazing because there's probably, I don't know, a couple hundred rooms, and every one of them are just incredible. Like some of the most coolest, innovative, different ideas, because all of these people were interior decorators, so they're all very artistic and very, it's just really
good
cool.
ideas.
You'd see some really cool stuff, like things you would put together, like you would never think to put together, but they're like, wow, like some furniture combinations and paint colors and textures, and it's like really gets the whole creative juices flowing, which I like to go to things like that because it really gives you, it kind of inspires a lot of ideas for new creations. And if you're someone that likes to build and create stuff like me, like I walk through there and it's like all the synapses and everything in my brain are fired, right? I'm like, oh, wait a second, I could do that. Oh, look at this. What? So it was very cool, and it's for a good cause. The money from all the purchases of these items goes to a really good cause. So
not only that, they have a red carpet, which we did 2 years ago, and we did this year, and they take pictures, and which end up on the internet. So I was like looking at on the Getty Pictures website, and I just typed in Bedell Design on a Dime to see what pictures of us come up.
Yeah, Getty is like a famous photography setup that basically does all of these celebrity like red carpet stuff and premieres and movie things, and
and you can buy the pictures
award
from them
shows
or,
and
So I was seeing a big difference in my picture because that was the first red carpet that we had done 2 years ago when we had gone to that thing. And the pictures of me then and through the progression of to the now, the first ones were horrible. I posed funny and I smiled like an idiot.
Well,
and I
you've
just
had a
looked
lot of
awful.
experience since then.
No, you know what it is? Like, you have to do it in the mirror or see yourself look like shit and say, I got to remember not to do that ever again.
Right.
You know, like you got to turn. And it's like that people think like, oh, you guys always look so good in pictures. Not naturally, people. You have no idea how much practice goes into taking a good posed picture.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to take a good picture all the time. And also when there's two of you, like you tend to do like what you do when you're normally out just socially and like, you know, you get your arm around the person or like, you know, whatever it's like those things don't always look good like in the picture.
Right.
So it's kind of funny, like, you know, you would think it's just like a random picture. Oh, just pose for the camera, guys. You know,
nope. So your brain is going the whole time.
After you've taken a lot of really bad pictures, which we have actually.
Yeah,
it's funny how you start to figure out. You're right, like what not to do.
Yeah, remember when it was the last Guys' Choice Awards that we did in June 2015 for the Spike award show. We had practiced our pictures at the apartment in Venice before that event. So we stood in front of the mirror. It was like a big wall mirror by the sink area, and we stood in front of it together and did our together pose.
Wait, you took pictures in the bathroom mirror?
We didn't take pictures. We posed in front of it.
I just have a question about that. What is it with everyone that takes pictures on social media and they're always in the bathroom? There's a toilet in the background. Or like, really? Or it's in a public restroom. Every freaking selfie that you see on social media is next to a toilet or a stall or there's like a towel dispenser. Yeah. You know, like what?
Because it's like a big mirror and people don't realize like...
But is there no better place to take a picture than in the bathroom?
It's so cheesy. It's so cheesy.
But then I realize that we're kind of guilty of that too. But I don't ever post those pictures.
We haven't taken pictures like that.
I refuse to post those pictures because it's like, you know, it's just everybody does that.
Yeah,
you know?
no, we haven't taken pictures of that. I don't take pictures of myself in the bathroom mirror.
You know what? The only thing I can think of is that not everybody has big mirrors in their house. So maybe like in the bathroom, that's the one room where they happen to have a big enough mirror that they can see enough of their body.
Learn some photo editing and blur out all that stuff so it's not recognizable, or put yourself in a different background. You can do that too.
Yeah, blur out your crapped up toilet in the background.
Nobody wants to see the dump you took this morning.
With the toilet brush next to it, you know?
Nasty. And then, you know, what people you see who's got like the cluttered up sink area or like the disgusting, like, you know, what it looks like.
Yeah.
Like,
but I always think it's so funny because like you see like some of like the hottest girls, you know, like the hottest, whatever, like really good looking people and next to a toilet.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, right? Check it out. Go on social media next time. You'll see what I'm talking about, people.
I saw online
every single selfie.
I saw a picture of it was like selfies gone wrong, and one of them was the picture that she took it looked like she was holding her hand out, like trying to block the camera, taking a picture of her, like, no, don't take a picture of me.
Like talk to the hand?
Like kind of like that, but like, no, like I'm shy, don't take a picture of me. But there was a mirror in back of her which caught the reflection of her taking her selfie, and you can see that she was holding her own camera with her fingers in front of it, so it looked like she was like somebody else was taking the picture, you know, but it was her really holding the camera with her fingers in front of it. You know, yeah, stupid asses. Yeah, so don't do that, people. You look like an idiot.
Busted.
Yeah. So so Design on a Dime, we ran into our friend George Oliphant.
Yeah.
From George to the Rescue,
which is on NBC. It's every Saturday morning, right?
Yeah.
I think on NBC. What a great show. They, I think, just completed their 7th season. They're like 70-something episodes in.
Yeah.
Super successful show. It's actually a really cool show because he goes out and rescues people that, you know, have had like, you know, DIY disasters or, you know, some sort of disaster in their house.
Yeah.
And it's always a feel-good thing, right?
Yeah.
With that show, it's fun to watch.
Oh, you know what I forgot to say before we were talking about practicing the picture for the Guys' Choice Award? The reason I brought that up is if you guys happen to take a look at those pictures, you come across it on the Getty website, take a look at my boob. That's no accident.
I'm looking at it right now.
Those were no accident. We had posed a picture that the way that we got into our pose is when we'll put an arm around each other, and then I kind of like turn into Skip, and that pushes the boob up. So it looks like I got good cleavage. Oh. So the boob in those pictures.
That's the trick.
No accident. Yeah. That boob shot, no accident. We took a lot of maneuvering. We kept doing it like over and over and over.
It's all smoke and mirrors,
man. It's all smoke and mirrors, people.
Yeah. Take away the push-up bra and the makeup, and it's like she's a total train wreck when she just hit the wall.
You know who I am? I am. If you guys are fans of Game of Thrones, that's me in the last scene of the movie.
What?
The very last scene. The red woman. When
she
took
God,
off.
The premiere of Game of Thrones was just the other night, and the season 6, right?
Yep.
And the red woman, she's like a
witchy
spiritual.
Yeah,
right,
so she took off this necklace, and she was looking in the mirror, and she took off her robe, and she was naked. She's naked in like every episode, and she like always lures men into doing what she wants because she gets naked for everybody. And then in this episode, at the end, she went in front of the mirror, took off her robe, she was all naked, and then she took off this necklace.
Finally, there was some boobs in an episode, right? Usually Game of Thrones are good for boobs like all the way through the whole episode. And I'm like, well, are we actually going to go through a whole episode with no...
I know.
Yeah.
So this woman's a witch, by the way. So she does like all these spells and things. So
she's got witchy boobs.
Yeah. So she took off this necklace and put it on the table. And when she did that, it was like her true self was revealed. And she was like this old naked hag with her boobs hanging down to her like
boobs.
Bush. Yeah. And she was like.
That's the name of this episode. I think that it should be Witchy Boobs.
So anyway, so that's me. After the makeup and the clothes come off and everything.
No, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
No. Well, actually, your hair is blonde, so you don't look like.
Thank you very much.
There is some difference.
Yeah. So.
Man.
Was there anything else that we wanted to catch up on since we didn't get into anything else?
What do we got going on?
Oh God, there was just this one news story. If you'll allow me to just get into this, because we didn't have time for it like the last maybe 5. So it's not new news, but I know it's news that you hadn't heard, and I wanted to tell you about it.
That's not saying much because I basically don't hear anything. Okay. It's like I have no idea what's going on in the world. Just ask me anything, and I don't know. Okay, so there was it was from like January, but I know if you haven't heard this story, it's a goodie. There is this doctor who worked at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York, and a patient who had come in for a severe head cold had complained to the police that she was sexually assaulted by him, that he had grabbed her boob. She and another patient had also filed a complaint. But then after it came out, he ended up getting arrested after the best complaint of all came out. There was a woman who complained that she had gone in for, I think it was something like her shoulder or something, or like, I forgot what her illness was. Anyway, so she went to the hospital and he gave her morphine, and then he gave her another dose of morphine, and it like knocked her out, but she was still conscious and aware. No, but what had happened was he jerked off while she was sedated and came on her face. Whoa,
yes.
What?
Yes. Or should I say, he ejaculated on her face.
Oh.
Yes. So.
Well, yeah, let's keep medical terms that we talking about a doctor.
Well, so she was not unconscious. She was still alert, even though she was very sedated and knew what was happening. So meanwhile, she had the evidence of this on her face. So she went to the police and they took a sample, and the DNA, then they ended up getting DNA from him, and it was a match. So he was arrested, and his explanation. What? Yeah. So then they asked him his explanation, like, well, how would your ejaculate end up on her cheek? And his explanation was that he had gone into the doctor's lounge, masturbated, got some on his hand, which must have then accidentally gotten on her hospital gown, which then must have touched her cheek while he was treating her for something completely
unrelated. Please don't tell me that he got off of these charges with that story.
He got off.
Are you serious?
No.
He
got off. It was a pun. That's what I'm saying. He got off on these charges. Yeah, this guy's a real jerk.
We know he got off.
This guy's a jerk.
Oh, my God.
You missed it. You're missing it. The guy's a jerk.
Really?
That went right over your head.
No, I just got it. Really? Is this a joke? Is that the punchline?
He got off on the charges. No, he's still pending charges. He didn't get off of the charges. But yeah, she may have been mistaken about me ejaculating on her face because she was on morphine. Meanwhile, he gave her a double dose, which there was absolutely no reason for him to do that, and he didn't document it in the chart. So yeah, he ended up being fired. But I thought that you would find that story interesting. That semen must have transferred from my hand to her face during the time I treated her.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Yeah. I can't believe this is happening, he said. My explanation doesn't make sense. Is she alleging that I raped her? Like, yeah, okay.
Right.
She was alert, you moron.
Along with all the other complaints that's come in, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the other people, like they came in for a head cold and he grabbed their boobs.
God, yeah. Well, I'm sure there's been plenty of stories about people that go to the dentist and get sedated and all kinds of stuff, and they wake up with like the doctor's hand in their crotch or something. It's like,
yeah.
Right?
Oh God, and there was a nurse who was fired because she took dick pics while somebody was anesthetized.
Come on.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Why would you show that to any? Why would you do it? And then show it to people, you moron. So now your career is gone for good. All that schooling for nothing.
God.
So now listen to this. Because we were talking about...
The guy's probably got like an elephant trunk, She's like, oh, no, she's texting with her friends. You gotta see this thing.
That part wasn't in the story, so I don't know if that's why she did it.
Why else would you take pictures of just like an ordinary... It must have been something like freakishly large or small.
Freakishly small.
Or something.
Yeah.
It had like, two heads on it or something, I don't know.
No, but there's the guy who's got the double dick.
I know.
Yeah, he gets...
Yeah, I heard that guy interviewed. Was he
gets
interviewed
a
on
lot of
Stern
action.
or something?
I don't know that it was... I don't think it was Stern.
I think I heard
Was
him.
it Stern?
He was interviewed somewhere, and he was talking about, like,
he's got a book. He put out a book.
Yeah. There's actually someone like that. It's like a real medical condition that happens. It occurs in, like, one every so many millions of people, but it's a condition that's out there. Most of the time, the other
his are functional.
Most
both
of the time, one of the two are not really functional, and they don't really are sexually functional. Whatever, it's kind of just like hanging there.
Yeah.
But in this case, this guy evidently is very overly well endowed on both of them.
Yes, and they
both
work.
of them are fully operational.
Yeah, and he's bisexual, so he's done it with men and women and men and women together. He's like very.
So think about the
very
possibilities
busy.
there, right? I mean, like
No, it's actually, if you look online, you can see a picture of it as well if you Google it.
No, I don't want to see it.
So anyway, this other story that I found,
I
know I'm like taking up so much time away from Tip Tuesday, but I just wanted to tell you about this.
Tips Tuesday?
Sorry, Tip Tuesday. I'm gonna get to that. Listen to this story. In Alabama, this teacher, 38 years old, married his 18-year-old student in an attempt to because they got in trouble. So in an attempt to have her not have to testify, because that whole rule where you don't have to testify against your spouse.
Right.
But the judge ruled that
Isn't that only in a murder case, though?
No, the judge said that doesn't apply because that privilege doesn't exist where one spouse is the victim of the other. So apparently the teacher, he was indicted in January 2015 of having sexual contact with a student under the age of 19. So then he married her 6 months later. And he's thinking he's so smart that he's not going to, she doesn't have to testify, but nope. So
under the age of 19? Isn't like
under the age of 19. So
19 now is the magic number? Isn't like 18 you're an adult?
Under the age of 19, which means 18.
Okay,
18
but I mean,
or
technically,
under.
If you're 18, aren't you considered you're an adult?
She's a student, so different states have different laws.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just wondering, has the number changed? Like like drinking age used to be 18 and then went to 21. Like, is there something that
Yeah, I don't know. But and last month in Alabama, a private school was busted for the husband and wife teachers having sex with students. Woohoo!
What?
Yeah.
What is happening, man? It really, like these stories. What was going on with the dude that was like he was with a lamb or something, and then he killed the lamb? Or
we heard that on the radio
the other day. Hear
day.
about that in the news the other day.
I know, people are so messed up. God!
Really, does anyone have like a somewhat normal life?
I guess not. I don't know.
I guess we're really boring.
I know.
We're not banging or killing our pets, or
boring. Shit.
Doing the kid next door. We just keep working and doing what we're doing and doing Tip Tuesday.
Tip Tuesday.
which, by the way, I think we ought to get to.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we got lots of questions.
Okay.
There is a whole backlog
Yeah, we've got a
of
backlog.
questions.
First one I'm going to hit is James Tharp, our buddy online there. He asked about his dog has black nails, and he was asking me about cutting them.
Yeah, that can be tough.
It can be very tough because you can't see them. And, of course, you know that the quick runs through the nail, and that's the thing that you don't want to cut because that makes them bleed, and it also hurts. What you got to do for black nails is cut a little bit. And then what you do is every week you cut a little bit more, and then you cut a little bit more because the quick recedes. So as you cut a little bit of the nail, the quick moves back, and then a week later cut just a little bit again, and the quick should have moved back. You have to do it very gradually on black nails.
Yeah.
The other thing that what I notice a lot of doctors do, the vets, they just they bite the bullet and they just go snip, and they make it the length that it's supposed to be, and they put styptic powder on it very quickly.
Right.
It hurts, and it it depends on how brave your dog is, how brave you are, and what you prefer to do.
They don't really have a choice, right?
No, I mean the dog can bite. You know what I mean? You're hurting them, and some dogs don't react well to getting their nails cut.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about. But yeah, so cut it. Just do it slowly. Make it a progressive thing, and you have to keep doing it.
I always had that with my dogs because I've always had Dobermans and Rottweilers, and they have black nails, and it's tough to cut them.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you're right, you can't see. For those of you who don't have dogs, not really sure what we're talking about. A lot of animals, their claws are a lighter color, and there's like a pink line through the back of that where actually the blood flow and the blood vessels go to supply that nail. And you can see where it stops in the nail. It turns almost white, and you can cut back to where it starts to get pink, and that's where the blood line kind of stops. But if you go past that into the pink area, you're going to cut into that blood.
And they'll bleed.
And it's going to bleed. It's going to be, it's more sensitive back there as well. But when they're black, you can't see any of that. So really, like wherever you cut, it's kind of like you're rolling the dice. So yeah, especially if you let them get really long.
Yeah.
It can be hard. So you have to really kind of stay on top of dogs that have black nails and cut them regularly, because if you let them go too far, the quick has a tendency, just like it will recede as you cut the nails, it also has a tendency to grow out toward the end of the nail if you let it go too long. And then even if you take a little bit off, you're probably going to be cutting into the quick. So
yeah.
Yep.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Tharp.
Jimbo. He's always on the social media stuff with us, right? On Facebook. And thanks for all the interaction there, Jim.
Yeah. Cassie Bedell. She wanted, first of all, she also wanted to know if you're related.
I get that from a lot of different Bedells. I don't know. Maybe.
I suppose anything's possible.
Yeah.
She wanted a tip on refinishing or painting wood trim.
Okay. Well, I guess that's kind of a generic question if we're talking about trim around windows and doors and base moldings and that type of thing. Like any other type of woodwork, you're going to want to make sure you have a good surface to paint on. So you're going to want to make sure it's clean. You're going to want to make sure any rough edges are sanded down and the surface is prepared and ready to paint well. Also, especially on trim work, it's always held in with some sort of finish nail. It's a very small head nail. Either it's a hand nail that's been set in by hammer and then use a nail set to countersink it below the wood, or it's shot in with a pneumatic nail gun. Typically, that's what we do. Most trim carpenters are going to use nail guns. Nobody really hand nails that stuff anymore. So it will automatically countersink the nail to the depth that you want. And the reason why that nail is countersunk, so it leaves some space between the head of the nail and the surface of the wood. And that hole you can fill in with some putty or nail filler, caulk, whatever it is that you like to use to fill your nail holes. You want to make sure all those nail holes have been filled in. And if you have any that are exposed, you don't really want to paint over them because it's going to be harder to fill them in once you paint over that. So check out all the trim. Make sure all the nail holes are filled in. If you have to use some nail hole filler, I like to use the Elmer's. They sell it in the paint department at your big box stores. It gets hard like a wood filler, and it's sandable. So you can put it on a little bit heavy, leave it kind of mushrooming over the top of the hole, a little bit heavy, and then sand it down flush, and it'll give you a nice, it'll fill that hole in nice and give you a nice surface to work with. After you do all that, you'll be ready for the paint. So I like to use at least a semi-gloss on trim molding. It sets it aside from the typical wall colors, which are usually more in the flat family, as the more toward the eggshell or even flat or satins. The higher gloss on the moldings really make them stand out, make them look nice. So look for a good quality semi-gloss paint and also a fine brush. When you go into your paint department, ask the person there to recommend a good brush for it. Yeah, ask the person there to recommend a good brush for you for doing trim work. I found that ones that work well are like a 2-inch or 2.5-inch wide trim brush. Usually they're angled on one end and allows you to get the paint on really smoothly. The trick to painting trim also is to try to get the longest brush strokes that you can. Well, I'm like tripping over every word here. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like tongue twisters going on here. Get the longest stroke that you can get on that trim. So if you can run your brush from one end to the other and not little short strokes, because especially with a semi-gloss paint, when it dries, you will tend to see some of the where the brush strokes start and stop. So if you can drag that brush, load it up well with the right amount of paint, and drag it all the way the whole length of that molding, you're going to get a nice long sweeping brush motion, and that's going to give you a nice result on your trim paint. So anything other than that, if you want to direct message me, I can give you some more tips on that. But the main thing with painting, especially finish work, is the prep. You want to make sure you have a nice, smooth finish. Because, again, with semi-gloss paint, which always looks better with the extra sheen, it will also show any other imperfections on the surface. So if you have open nail holes, you have any cracks or like little broken pieces of wood or splintering that haven't been repaired before you paint, it will definitely show them up a lot better than just a flat paint. So prep is the key.
Okay. She also asked, which I'm going to answer.
Whoa, this is like one question per person. All right.
Well, I'm kidding.
I'm
answering another one.
I'm kidding. What else you got?
She asked about gardening tips for shaded areas.
Oh, okay. Well, that's your department.
Yeah. So shade plants are different than the ones that you're going to put in the sun because, the ones that belong in the sun won't thrive in the shade and you're just kind of wasting your time. They're not going to grow. But what you want to do is, most importantly, make sure you have good soil for the shaded areas because they're not getting the sun. So you need to make sure that they have a rich soil. You want to make sure that you either put some compost in there or make sure that they had some pine needles or some leaves, stuff to mix in to make sure that you got all the nutrients in the ground so that they thrive. But also what you want to do is the shade plants, like good things like hostas, that grow big, geraniums, those types of things. You want to get like big plants, but put a lot of them like to almost like ground cover, because the big plants that cover those areas in the shade, they usually have small flowers on them. They don't get the big flowers. They get the small flowers. And if you spread them out too much, it looks stupid because, there's like a little flower here, a little flower there. You want to make sure that you put a lot of them in the area so that...
What is it like? It's a little flower here,
a little flower over there. It's like those are the kind of things like you want to like cover the whole area, like almost like a ground cover. There's a lot of
hostas are great for that.
Hostas are good for that. Also, you want to mix in different colors, different colored leaves also because you for what you're going to be lacking in flowers, you want to make up for with architectural leaves. You want to also have different leaf colors. So, for example, there's hostas that have gigantic leaves, and they also have, some of them have white on the leaf as well.
Yeah,
and
like the two-tone.
Right. So you can get a lot of those.
Call it the two-tone.
Also, there's a plant called astilbe that has it's like a big, it's a nice green leafy plant. It's got small leaves, but it also has these like furry, fuzzy-looking flowers that come out of it, and they come in all different colors. And another really nice one for the shade is called a euchera, and it's really beautiful. It gets these like purplish, reddish leaves, and they grow really big, and they get these pink, fuzzy, fuzzy astilbe-looking flowers coming out of it as well. Euchera is spelled like Huechera or something like that, but that's a really good plant to put in the shade as well because they have some beautiful colors. They really thrive in the shade, and they get big as well. You want to make sure you don't expose dirt in your shaded areas. Try to cover it up with a lot of ground cover type plants. So
okay.
that's my
Whoa.
tip for your shady area.
That was a mouthful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so Brian Burdick said he needs help with installing new drains in his bathtubs and bathroom sinks. How does he do that?
Okay, well, are we talking about the whole drain assembly? If so, you can purchase all of those, at your local Home Depot, Lowe's, hardware store, whatever. They will have a full drain assembly that will fit into your sink or your tub. What you first need to do is determine what you actually have there. So as far as the tub goes, You can take apart that drain assembly. They have the overfill, which is where the tub lever is. Take those 2 screws out. You should be able to slide that whole assembly out of there. It has a stopper and the linkage that goes down into that. You can take that to the store and match that up. If you're trying to change out the finish or maybe it's not operating. Sometimes those things get jammed up and, they just don't work well anymore like everything else. They get used a lot. They have moving parts in them. And after a while, they just don't hold the water back and you have to replace them. So all of those things for the sink and the tub, you can purchase ready to go. If you can pull out what you have there, and it's kind of hard for me to answer the question because I don't know exactly what you have there. But if you pull that out, you can be able to get a replacement. Now, they also do
How do you get it out?
Well,
because it looks like it's like flush with the sink at the bottom, or how do you get that thing out?
All right. Well, as far as the tub, we'll start with the tub. Like I was just mentioned to you, they have the tub lever that goes through the side wall of the tub where you can operate that stopper. Right.
Yeah.
You lift the lever up and down.
Yeah.
That's the most common type. So there are 2 screws on either side of that. When you take those 2 screws out, you can actually pull out the cover plate and the whole lever, and it pulls out a long linkage that's about 1 foot long. It's like a brass rod.
That's scary.
And not really. And it has like a pivot point on it that actually will pivot into the floor of the tub, and that controls the stopper that slides back and forth inside of that sleeve. So you don't need to take out the whole pipe and everything. It would be very difficult to get to that. You'd have to get behind the tub or underneath it. But you can take the guts out of it. So you carefully pull that lever and the whole cover plate, and the whole linkage will slide right up out of that hole. You can take that to your store and match up what it is that you have if you want to change the finish or whatever, but the operable parts will be the same. Now, they also do make some different types of parts for those. If you can actually get to the underside of your tub, if you have a plumber's access panel or if it backs up to a closet or another room that you have access to behind the tub, you can change the underside, the actual plumbing to that drainage, and then you have different options. They have like a twist knob that has a cable that goes underneath there, so if you want to turn it so it's not the regular trip lever that you lift up and down, they have a twist knob. And then, of course, there's also a simple type, which is basically just like a push button on the bottom where you push the drain down. You click it once. And you click it again, it'll open up. So there are a couple of different types. They're not too difficult to change. Pick out the one that you want to get first. And then what I would do, because I could spend a lot of time telling you how to do this, what I would do is once you pick out the one that you like, go right online and look at how to install that. There'll probably be 100 videos for that particular type of tub drain assembly on how to install it. And it's really like a 15-minute thing. It's not a difficult thing. You don't need a lot of tools. You need like a screwdriver, a wrench, and basically that's it. It's not a lot of tools required to do that job.
Be brave.
No, it's not. Doesn't take a lot.
Taking that shit's scary. Taking it apart is scary because you have to make sure you are able to put it back together.
It's so scary.
Or else you're screwed.
Well, the nice thing about learning how to take something apart is that once you see how it comes out, you can just kind of do it in reverse. And that really applies to a lot of different things. People are afraid to take things apart, but like I started as like my earliest memory is like I want to take everything apart. Like I need to know how everything works. So as soon as my dad got me like my first little set of hand tools, screwdrivers and pliers and things like that, I was taking apart like everything. He came home like the refrigerator door was off, like everything in the house was taken apart. Because if I saw a nut or a bolt or a screw or something, I'm like, oh wait a second, I got a tool to take that off, and like I just start like taking things apart. But the cool thing about that is you see how things operate, and then you realize how to put it back together too. So if you ever have to change something, it's really just a matter of doing what you did to take it apart in reverse. And I've told people that a lot. People ask me all the time how to change the cartridges in their faucets because the faucet's leaky or drippy, and it's a very simple thing to do. Once you take it out, it goes right back in the same way. So so check that out. And also for the sink drain. Underneath the sink for your trap assembly, where you have like that U-shaped pipe underneath, which is called your trap, on the right above that will be the neck pipe, the extension pipe that goes up into the bottom of the sink, and usually there'll be the lever in the back of that operates the plunger that goes up and down, the stopper in your sink. So if you go behind that pipe, you'll see there's a little threaded nut that you can take off that holds that pin that operates the lever up and down. You pull that out, and that will release the stopper inside your sink, and you can take that stopper out and replace that as well. Both of those parts, they're all parts that you can find replacement parts for right in the plumbing aisle in Home Depot.
Sounds scary.
No, it's really not. They're actually very easy to change. You can do it. If you're having a problem, direct message me, take a picture for me, and I will be happy to walk you through it.
Okay.
You can do it.
There's a related question from Melissa Mills, and she had said, is removing, installing, regarding a toilet, someone to do something, or is that anything that you could figure out? I'm very proud of the fact that in my last house I had replaced all the insides of the toilet. I actually took the whole toilet apart, took the tank off and everything.
Yeah, but you told me that was really only because you were so embarrassed to call in a plumber because the thing was so blown up. Like you didn't want anyone to ever see your toilet.
You're such an idiot.
A tire
it's
disaster.
I like to know how to do things too, and I don't want to have to pay somebody else to do it.
Toilet was like a bomb went off in there.
Not true. So, with regards to this toilet thing, it's totally doable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There are literally a million videos on how to change a toilet. And it's something that I think everybody should know how to do. You shouldn't have to call a plumber to change your toilet, or to change
the parts inside,
or to change the working mechanisms, the movable parts inside, the flapper, the float. All those things you should be able to do. They're really not difficult to do. Very minimal amount of tools required: a pair of pliers, screwdriver, adjustable wrench. Usually, that's all you're going to need. And the toilet, especially, changing that and changing out the wax ring, those are all things that you can definitely do. So to answer your question, yes, you can absolutely do it.
I replaced the water. The one that I had done, it had like a hard line of like from the wall to the toilet of the water.
Yes,
and I removed that and I replaced it with those new nice flexible ones.
Flexible, stainless steel braided hose.
Yep, I did that myself.
That's great.
Yeah.
Good. See how proud of yourself you are, right?
Yep,
it feels
awesome.
good to be able to do stuff yourself.
Yeah,
so to answer your question, you could definitely do that. And that's something that there are some really good books out there. I'm working on my own right now, which you guys are gonna be getting a great tips book, hopefully coming out later this year, which will have like over 100 different things, household repairs and stuff around your place things like this, things that you need to change out.
Yeah.
But there are some really good books. I think they have some right on the shelves at Home Depot. It's like 100 fixes around the house, or all things that you can do, all DIY type of repairs, common household repairs. And if you purchase that book or you even get it online, they will have a couple of pages dedicated to step-by-step with pictures of exactly how to do that toilet change.
Yeah.
And the photo illustration of watching a video is actually a better description of it than I can give you over the podcast, because you can really see it,
Yeah.
But it's not difficult to do.
Okay. Moving on. Isaac Sandoval said that his front door is starting to sag and drag. He shouldn't refer to his wife as a front door. It's really messed up.
Come on. My front door is starting to sag and drag.
You don't have to use code words with us, Isaac.
We're just kidding. I'm sure she's a very sweet lady. All right, so usually when people feel their front doors dragging, a common problem that happens with especially exterior entry doors is that the weather stripping on the bottom of the doors go bad. And over time, from that door, every time you open and close it, the weather stripping, its job basically is to make contact.
Don't touch the table.
Make contact with the sill. It rubs back and forth across the sill, and it flexes that piece of rubber or plastic, that sweep on the bottom of the door, back and forth every time. So imagine taking a piece of plastic and bending it back and forth and back and forth and back and forth hundreds, if not thousands of times. Eventually it's going to wear out and it's going to get thin. And that's what happens, especially with exterior doors, because they're subjected to, cold and heat and all the elements and moisture. So those strips on the bottom wear out. It's something that you can definitely change. I've talked about this before on other podcasts. They sell replacement weather strips for the bottom of doors that are pretty easy to change, assuming that is your problem. That's the most common problem when people feel something dragging on the underside of their door. There are other things that could be, and without you giving more information, there are other things that could be a problem there. Like you may have a sag in your floor. The sill plate underneath that door could be rotted or possibly termite damage. And if the door is starting to sag on either side of the frame, it could be throwing the door out of square. There's a couple of different things. So look underneath your door and see if the weather stripping underneath there is damaged or it's hanging off or if that's what's dragging. I'm going to say 90% chance that's probably a problem. If it's not, then also with change of climates, sometimes as it starts to get warmer, the doors will swell and they will start to get hung up on the frame. So that's also, something that could be happening there. If you can give me some more information, I'd probably be able to help you out better. Maybe take a picture, direct message it to me. But from the sounds of things, it's most likely your weather stripping.
I stink.
Wow.
These pits, I don't know, like I was smelling something and it's me.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't know what the deal is.
Do we really need to talk about that right now?
No.
Oh.
I stink.
Okay. Well, thanks for filling me in on that. That's great. Make sure you stay on the other side of the table then.
I don't know what's going on.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No,
okay. Next question.
Okay. Larry Foster. He just moved into a new house, and the kitchen wall is an ugly, deep burgundy color. He's going to paint it a light tan. What brand of paint should he go with to cover that burgundy? And being that it was in the kitchen, is he going to need to remove any grease residue that might be on the wall from floating through the air?
Okay, so the brand of paint, I have a couple different brands that I particularly like. I like Benjamin Moore. I like Sherwin-Williams, both premium paints. And, of course, even Home Depot's brand Behr actually makes a really good quality paint now. Their higher-end line that they have there is a really good quality paint. Paints are all about the solvents and the chemicals that they put in. They're basically just one big bucket of chemicals. And the bottom line is the more money that you spend just to keep it simple and not get into the science of it all, the more money that you spend, the better quality and combinations of solvents and the less watered down, diluted version. So you're going to get more of those, more of those resins and more of those pigments, which why the paint covers better when you get more expensive paints. So I always tell people spend the extra money. If it's a difference between a $25 gallon of paint and a $45 gallon of paint, get the better one because it's going to make a huge difference in the appearance of the paint.
Oh, God, it does.
Okay. That being said, after you're going to go with whichever premium brand that you like, you want to make sure that you get a good primer on that wall, especially with a dark color like that. And that color in particular, like when you're painting, there are certain pigments, especially in the red family, that are very difficult to work with. Yeah. We have a wall in our house, actually, it's a feature color wall that we did that sounds a lot like your ugly burgundy wall.
But ours is not ugly.
Ours is nice. Ours is a nice burgundy. Kind of like a barn red. It's somewhere in there.
It's like
somewhere
red.
Between there and like a cranberry color. It's a nice color. But I can tell you, it was one of the hardest things I've ever painted because we had to get the primer tinted to that red family. There's a lot of different steps that you had to take to get that red to take that color. When the paint first went on the wall, it was actually a bright pink. And almost like Pepto-Bismol color.
Yes.
And then it turned into that color, that only happens with certain pigments of paint, and red being one of them. So you're going to want to get a couple of coats of good primer on there to cover up that red because it's going to be very hard. That's going to want to bleed through.
You put that right over the grease on the wall?
No. I'm getting there. Before you put the primer on, though, you're going to want to make sure you use a good degreaser. Now, they sell them right in the paint department. It's basically a prepping material that is used for degreasing and cleaning surfaces before you paint. So when you go in, wherever you get your paint, from Benjamin Moore or Home Depot or whatever it is, I tell the person that, especially if it's anywhere near a kitchen. Was it near a kitchen or something?
It is the kitchen.
Oh, okay, that's what it was. I knew there was a kitchen in there somewhere. Yeah, you're definitely going to want to get that grease off the wall. So use a good quality degreaser and get it all cleaned down. You might even have to sand the surface of that wall after you degrease it, depending upon how bad it is, to scuff it up a little bit so that the primer even sticks to it. But the degreaser and the preparation of that wall is going to be key for you getting a good surface. After you prime it, you're going to want to roll on at least 2 coats of paint to get over that red. But I'm suggesting 2 coats of primer, 2 coats of a good quality paint.
Yeah, you can't even emphasize enough the importance of getting a good quality paint, because paint is one of those things you get what you pay for. You really, really
Absolutely,
do.
Yeah. And, there are some really good paints out there that have the primer built in. But in this case, I would recommend that you get a separate primer and prime it first, because that's going to give you the ability to even double up on that primer. especially going over that red and going over the grease. Now, they make different types of primer. They make an oil base, and they also make a water base. Again, when you go to your paint store, speak to the person that you're dealing with.
They're so helpful.
Tell them what you want to do, and they will, depending upon which brand of paint you go with, they will recommend the right primer for it, because the primer is crucial. And what you're going over in the surface and what you have on that, he may recommend that you use a different type of base primer.
Yeah,
So-
don't even it's not even worth it to go in the store and take it off the shelf and bring it to the guy to mix the stuff for you, the color. Go to them first and tell them what you want to do, because they're professionals. It's like an art, there's different.
Well, it's all about
paints and-
chemical reactions,
yeah, so
right?
they know.
Yeah, paint is all about chemicals and how chemicals react together. And paint is only going to adhere to a surface if prepared properly. And that goes for anything, whether you're painting a wall, you're painting molding, you're painting whatever. Preparation is everything. So the first thing you're going to have to deal with is getting that grease off the wall. After that, you can attack the color issue. Either way, you're going to want to get a good primer and go with a good quality paint.
When I bought my first.
And also in the kitchen, you're going to want to use something with a little bit of sheen on it. So you may want to go, with an eggshell or, a satin or even a semi-gloss, depending upon what type of finish and what condition your walls are in. It's going to make it easier to clean and easier to keep that grease off of it.
When I first bought my my condo on my own many years ago, I painted one of the bedrooms, and I cheaped out and I bought whatever the cheapest paint in Lowe's was. And I wanted
Get the economy paint.
Yeah, and I also wanted to do a faux technique on the wall. So I think I bought a sponge, to do the sponge technique. So I
You bought like a kitchen dish sponge?
No, a paint, the kind
I know.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
To do a faux technique.
Right.
Also known as a fox.
A fox.
To do a fox technique. So I painted the wall. It was maybe a yellowish color. And it was so thin. It was and it was going over like a white wall, but you could see it wasn't taking,
Was it in the kitchen?
No, it was the bedroom.
Oh, okay.
And I was
well,
it just
also
wasn't
another thing
enough.
that you'll find that if there was a smoker living there prior to you, that's another issue that people deal with. And maybe if you didn't know that, smoke will leave a residue on the walls that if you don't clean it properly and you don't prime it well, the paint also, when you paint it on, it almost looks like it turns to water. Like it almost just dissipates on the wall because it's not adhering to the wall properly.
It didn't stick to the, and it wouldn't dry. And then I did this faux technique over it, and it looked like shit. I was literally able to wipe off the paint
So
with a towel.
I can tell you that's what your problem was. There was a smoker that lived there before you, or they cooked a lot, and there was a lot of heavy cooking smoke that traveled through the house, and the paint was not adhering well to the wall. So you might not have been able to see it, and on first glance, the walls might have looked pretty clean and ready to paint, but they were not prepped well, and you're going to have a very hard time getting paint to stick to that. So there you go.
Okay, well, thanks for that
Preparation is everything.
13 years too late.
See, that's the benefits of being with me.
Everything is
Learn
a
how to
benefit
paint stuff.
being with you.
There's got to be some good in there.
Jose Rauda said, how do you increase water pressure in your shower?
Okay.
You buy a new house.
Yeah. Sell your place. Buy a new place. It may not only, I don't know if you're having water pressure issues only in your shower. I've done a couple of different pieces on how to increase the water pressure overall in your house. There is a pressure regulator located somewhere near your water main. Wherever you have your water main, in your basement, your garage, wherever, somewhere near there should be a pressure regulator which will have an adjustment screw on it, which you can increase the overall house pressure. That's one way to increase the overall house pressure. But if you're getting just only slow pressure in your shower or in your bathroom fixtures, many times those, especially the bathroom faucet, even the kitchen faucet, will have aerators inside of them, and it's basically like a series of little plastic discs that have holes through them, or metal screens that basically create that aerated water effect to come out, and they get gacked up with calcium and mineral deposits over time, and it will reduce the size of those holes, and eventually it really slows the water volume that comes out of there. So you might be getting good pressure to that fixture, but the volume of water, pressure and volume are two different things. So you might not be getting the proper flow coming out of that due to that. So a couple of quick fixes that you can do. You can take that aerator off the bottom of the sink. You can also find that inside your shower head. When you take the shower head off, they will have a series of aerators inside of that. Most of the time in the shower heads, you can't get to them, though, to service them. So the best thing to do for that is to clean it. Now, you can either use a chemical cleaner with like a CLR type of thing, which will break down mineral deposits and calcium and rust and whatever else is in there. Or also, I found that the best thing to use really is vinegar. You can soak the shower head in a container of vinegar, let it sit in the vinegar for like 24 to 48 hours, and it will eat up all of that mineral deposits inside of there and clear out those holes, and then you flush it out with some hot water, and that should solve your problem. If you can't get the shower head off, sometimes the shower heads are really on there hard. Maybe you don't have the tools for it or whatever the case may be. Another trick that you can also do is fill a plastic bag with vinegar. Put it over the shower head, and then take some rubber bands, or you can use electrical tape or whatever you can get to fasten that bag around the shower head. Rubber bands actually work really well. And you can soak the shower head with the bag of vinegar right on the shower head. Either way, you want to soak it, submerge it for 24 to 48 hours.
So did you, I wasn't paying attention at the beginning of your answer. Did you mention anything about how to increase the pressure if that's not the problem?
Well, what I was saying is that usually when you have low water coming out of your shower itself, or in your sink faucet, whether the kitchen or the bathroom sink,
right.
Many times it's not that you're not getting good pressure to that fixture. It's that you're just not getting good volume coming out of it. And usually that, especially if you're having older fixtures there, that's a problem that happens over time.
Well, you'd also, if I can just go backwards in time, with our bathroom that you demolished, that one had hardly any water coming out, and it turns out it was because the pipe size was very small because it was so old, right?
Yeah, that was one of the problems. It had undersized piping that fed that whole bathroom, rather than having a 3/4 inch main that would go up and then 1/2 inch risers that come off it to feed the bathroom. That whole side of the house was piped in 1/2 inch, which is less volume. It's going to reduce the volume of water.
You'd have to get that redone.
Yeah, that in the combination, that's most likely that's not the problem. That in combination in our bathroom with the fact that we never use that shower. We've been here for how many years? We never once took a shower in that bathroom. The shower head, everything inside of that is probably just it gets broken down and corroded, and you just don't get a good flow of water through it anymore. The first thing you can try to do, if you don't want to clean it, you can actually just replace the shower head. Many of the newer shower heads, though, keep in mind, also have low flow restriction, parts inside of them that basically force it to release less water with the idea of water conservation. So that's something that that you can't really control.
If that doesn't help his problem, though, what else?
Well, other than that, if it's not in the fixture itself, then most likely it's the pressure, the overall pressure in the house.
So how do you fix that?
So you can fix that with the pressure regulator, which I mentioned earlier.
Oh, okay.
If you go online, actually, on our website and look on Skip's Tips, I have go to skipbedell.com, check out Skip's Tips. I think there was video tips I did for Dodge Ram trucks. There's a tip in there to how to increase your household water pressure.
Oh, okay.
And it will tell you, it's actually a video commercial that I did that I'll explain to you how to do it. You can also go online and see videos how to increase your house pressure. It's a pretty easy process. All you need is a adjustable wrench or a pair of pliers and get to where your water main is, and you can adjust it right at your pressure regulator. But before you do that, I would check the actual shower head itself and make sure that it's not clogged up. 9 times out of 10, if you have good pressure everywhere else, that's what the problem is, especially in the shower heads, because they have such small holes that the water comes out of that they get closed up with mineral deposits.
Okay.
Yep. So either change the head or try cleaning it.
Okay. Dude, after you do that, get back to us. I want to know how that worked out for you.
Yeah, and I always encourage people also, you can take a picture of it, direct message me on Facebook or on Twitter. I'm happy to give you a more detailed answer. And if you supply me with a little more information, sometimes I can give you a better tip.
So somebody on Twitter wrote, what are your thoughts on wiring an ice maker to a kitchen sink? The previous owner bought the fridge but never did it. Get a plumber or do it yourself? So I guess it's one of those refrigerators with an ice maker that he's saying.
Wiring the ice maker in the refrigerator to the kitchen. Okay. So I'm assuming, and then he says get a plumber. So first of all, the plumber's not going to be doing any wiring. I'm assuming what you're talking about is connecting up the water line to the kitchen.
It must be.
To the kitchen sink water line. Can that be done? Yes, it can be done. There's a plumbing fixture that you can get. It's a small part that you can attach to your water supply valve underneath the sink that would allow you to do that. It's a T-shaped fitting that will thread onto your water supply valve, onto the cold water supply valve. And basically, you would take off the supply hose that you have now that comes from your faucet under the kitchen sink and goes down to the cold valve where you turn it on and off. Undo that nut and disconnect that hose. Now the threaded male part that comes out of that valve, most cases is a 3/8 inch threaded male part. So when you screw back on that braided hose or whatever you have there for a supply line, the nut is a 3/8 inch connection. So when you go to your plumbing store, you're going to ask for a dishwasher T connector, and that can be used either for a dishwasher or for the
ice maker
in the refrigerator. Basically what it is it's a T-shaped fitting that will screw onto the top where your old supply hose used to go to now. The supply hose now will screw onto the top of this fitting, right? So now it's going through the fitting, and now you have a T coming off to the side that also lets water come out to the side. And that's when you can screw on your supply line for the water maker in the refrigerator, which you would have to get behind your cabinetry.
That sounds super easy.
It's very, very easy. All you need is a pair of pliers. It's super easy to do. That would be the quickest way to do it. Another way to do it is basically either get a saddle valve that can be tapped into your water line down in your basement or in wherever the water supply lines go that feed the kitchen area. A saddle valve is also really easy to install. You might want to look into that, but probably the easiest thing that you can do is the thing that I just mentioned, and a lot of people don't even think about that, but hook it right up to the supply line on the cold side of your kitchen sink.
Oh, good answer.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, on that T,
yeah, there was more.
The T's will come in two different sizes. So you can get one. Typically, the size hose for the refrigerator ice maker line, the water line, is 1/4 inch. So they do make one of those T's that are 3/8 on the bottom, 3/8 on the top, so you can connect your water back to the faucet, and then the line that comes off to the side of the T is 1/4 inch. So check out the size of the line that you have going to your ice maker. Chances are it may be 1/4 inch. If that's the case, you're going to get a 3/8 to 3/8 to 1/4 inch T, and that'll supply the water to your refrigerator.
All right.
There you go.
So Carrie Stratton, and by the way, Carrie has sent us some super, super nice emails. Thank you so much. She loves the podcast, and she's so complimentary.
Oh, thanks for
really
listening,
nice. Carrie. Really appreciate that. She asked if it's possible to paint over a laminate cabinet.
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit involved. You can paint over laminate. You can paint over laminate countertops, believe it or not, and cabinets. It is a process, though, that's a little bit different than painting wood. And the reason for that is it's actually like a plastic smooth surface that you have to condition. And again, like I say to everybody when it comes to painting, no matter what you're painting a car, you're painting your house, you're painting your cabinets, it's all about the preparation. So in this case, when you're painting over any type of laminate, because it is so smooth and it's actually a plastic-like surface, you need to use some special preparation. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, especially if it's in the kitchen, just like the person that asked just the prior questions about painting a wall in the kitchen, there's always going to be some grease and some different residue on those cabinets. It's going to make it hard for anything to stick. So you want to get a good cleaner and degreaser. Now, in this case, I would tell you to use a different quality degreaser because you're going to be degreasing on the laminate. And this is going to require using a solvent degreaser, which is a little bit different than your regular spray-on degreaser like a 409 or something a little bit more commercial grade. A solvent is something that's much more of a chemical reaction when it hits that surface. It does have a pretty strong odor to it. You might want to wear a respirator. I would recommend that you wear gloves, as you should when you're dealing with any sort of chemicals. Wear gloves, wear eye protection. But there are a couple of different types that you can use. There's Xylol, which is XYLOL, is a good solvent cleaner. There's also Prepsol. Both of these things will degrease and really take off any sheen and any finish that's on any surface.
Is that available on Amazon?
They can probably get them on Amazon. I don't know. I've never bought solvents on Amazon, but you can certainly get them in
Well, if they're available on Amazon, I'll put a link on our website.
Yeah, let's check into that and see if they are.
Check out the episode summary.
Again, you're going to want to make sure that you're wearing gloves, respirator, and glasses and all that. Open up a window when you do this. So anyway, you're going to want to wipe down those cabinets, all the surfaces that you're going to want to be painting. Make sure they're completely degreased, wiped down, and clean real well. After that solvent dries, and that's going to be pretty quickly because this stuff, the chemical content, it evaporates very fast. It's almost like putting rubbing alcohol on something, and when it leaves the surface, it's going to leave the surface a little bit dull looking, which is what you want. You're going to follow that up with sanding the surface with a light to medium grade sandpaper, like a 120 to 150 grit sandpaper. And just so you know, the numbers on sandpaper, the lower the number, the more abrasive and rougher it is. As you get higher in the numbers, the 200, 300, all the way up to 500, it gets super, super fine.
Like a nail file.
Yes, and they also do make rougher nail files too. Same thing with sandpaper. You can get super, super rough sandpaper, which is like, a 60 or a 40 or an 80. It's very, very rough. You're going to want to use something that's kind of like mid-grade, 120 to 150. You're going to want to scuff up the surface of that laminate and take all the sheen off and kind of rough it up a little bit. And that's going to allow the paint to grab to it because as of right now, it's a very, very smooth surface. The paint doesn't really have anything to adhere to. After you do that, you're going to want to vacuum off the dust and then wipe it down again with that solvent to get any little bit of dust and particles off there. And now you're going to have a really good surface to paint on. Like anything else, you use a good quality primer. And then after that, they actually make paints that are designed to paint over laminate. They are a waterborne acrylic enamel paint. There's lots of different types of paints. You're going to want to look for the acrylic enamel paints. And there's a couple different brands that I know of in particular. One is carried at Home Depot. It's called Cabinet Rescue, and it's designed specifically for painting over laminates. It comes in a lot of different colors, and it will chemically adhere very well to a laminate surface. I think Rust-Oleum also makes a countertop coating paint, which is the same thing, really. Essentially, it's still a laminate, whether it's on your countertop or on your cabinets. And that also is tintable for I think up to like 15 or 20 different colors. So you can have that, made into a color that you like.
She wanted white.
Yeah, okay, so that's easy then. I think that's stock right off the shelf. They come in white. But both of those brands of paint are designed specifically to paint over laminate, so you'll have a really good result.
Okay.
All right, there you go.
One more question, and it's from Jacob Giles. He said that he got a new faux bamboo floor.
Oh.
This is a very...
The fox bamboo.
Yeah, he had the fox bamboo. And when he moved in, they scratched it when they were putting the refrigerator in, which is a mistake that so many people make.
No.
So, is there a way to conceal the scratches?
All right, before I tell you how to conceal the scratches, I will tell everyone, when you're moving a refrigerator, just because the refrigerator has wheels on the bottom of it doesn't mean it is not going to scratch the crap out of your floors. It's really important that you guys use something like there's a product out there called Ram Board. You can get it. It comes on a roll. It's like a very, very stiff, rigid, almost like a cardboard that we put down on floors when we're doing work in the houses to protect the floors. You can double or triple layer that and put it right up close to the refrigerator, right where the wheels begin. In fact, even tilt the refrigerator up a little bit to slide it as far in under the refrigerator as you can, and then roll the refrigerator out onto that. If you're going over wood floors, especially over wood floors, I don't care what kind of wood it is, how hard it is. It could be oak, it could be walnut, it could be...
Yeah, we don't care how hard your wood is.
Yeah, no matter how hard your wood is, I don't want to know about that. No matter how hard your wood is, the refrigerators will scratch the finish on your floor. Now, bamboo floors in particular, I've installed many of them. People seem to be crazy about bamboo lately. You can get this bamboo floors that are pre-finished right now in all the big box stores. They sell them. They're really affordable, and they look great. The problem is they scratch really easy. So... unfortunately, you're going to have a hard time repairing that scratch because chances are it's probably gouged and really very deep. From the pictures that you sent there, I see some visible lines that are like a different color. Now, those surface scratches, which have kind of like made a light color line in the surface of the bamboo, you can get. They do make flooring and furniture repair kits that they sell in the paint departments of stores, and it basically is a combination of like a putty pencil, that is colored, and also a like a paint marker. Kind of like a magic marker, and they come in different colors. So what I always recommend to people is to take a piece of the flooring if you have it there. I don't know if you have any left over from when the job was installed. If it was done before you moved in, they might not have left you any spare flooring. But if you can get a piece there, it's easier to take the flooring to the store than to bring a bunch of different markers back and find the right one. Get one that matches the color the closest. That's what you can do for that surface scratch. The big deep gouge that you have there, and that is, by the way, from the roller, that when they roll out, they roll straight out, it's rolling across the floor. But everybody wants to tilt it and turn it sideways, and now you're going against the way the wheel rolls, right? It's no longer rolling. Now you are dragging the wheel. So just because it's on a plastic wheel, when you're dragging something that weighs 500 pounds, it's going to scratch the floor, guaranteed. So you're going to have a hard time with that. What you can do, there are many times we have damaged hardwood flooring, and that hardwood flooring most likely was laid down just like any other. It's probably tongue and groove. It doesn't look like a floating floor to me from the picture that you sent, so it's probably a nailed down or a glued down floor, which is tongue and groove. What you can do is
tongue and groove.
Yeah. You can replace sections of that flooring, which might be your best bet. Now, what I do to typically, when I'm repairing floors like that, I will take a circular saw, and this is assuming that you have these tools. I don't know what you have there, but this is what I would do if it were my floor. I would take my circular saw, I would set it at a very shallow depth to the depth of that floor. Now, pre-finished floors typically are about 3/8 of an inch to maybe a half an inch deep. Typical hardwood floor is 3/4 of an inch thick, but most likely that is not an engineered hardwood floor, which is 3/4. Probably going to be about a 1/4 inch to maybe 3/8 of an inch thick. I'd start out and rip a line right down the middle of that damaged piece, straight down the center of it, going the lengthways of the piece, and then cut another one right next to it. Take a chisel and pull the floor up so you can actually see down to the subfloor. Can you stop it? You're very distracting me right now. She's like rolling her boobs up and down, like trying to catch my attention. Stop, all right? I see them. Yes, I can see. I know. It's time to end the tip. It's a long tip. I know. You don't have to flash me your boobs. Oh, my God. Wow. If I was at the club right now, I'd be throwing you I'd be making it rain. You know, stop already with the boobs. All right, so cut out a strip out of that flooring, and what you can do then is work underneath it with a pry bar, and you can actually take that piece of flooring right out of there. You're going to have to get, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 pieces, you're going to have to get a couple new pieces of that flooring. So it might mean that you have to go to the store and buy another box of bamboo pre-finished floor. It's pretty inexpensive. You can buy it by the box. Get one that matches that color, that looks like a pretty standard color. Bring back those pieces. You're going to want to cut the tongue off of the piece that you're putting back in so you can drop it right back in place, and you'll either have to glue it, or sometimes you can face nail it depending upon what type of flooring it is, if you can fill in the color. But I would recommend you glue it back in, and you can replace that section of floor. It's a little bit involved. There are videos online that will show you how to replace and section in pieces of hardwood flooring to repair. I would watch them, and it's something that you can definitely do. If you have a circular saw, a chisel, and a couple of hours, you can fix that, because I don't think you're going to be able to fill those scratches in. I know that was the longest tip ever. Thank you for bearing with me, and thank you to you, because you now have both boobs fully out, fully visible. Before she was just juggling them, one in each hand under her shirt. Now they're both completely wide out. Yeah. This is awesome. All right, so I guess that's my cue to end the podcast, because
No, we got just a little bit more left.
I have other business to tend to right now.
Nope, now you're going to have to wait.
Oh, great.
So before I get to some random thoughts, because we haven't done that in a while, yes, the window is open.
That's great. Our neighbors must be loving you.
Well, good. I have nice boobs. Before we get to random thoughts, I wanted to remind everybody about our website, hammerandnailspodcast.com, hammerandnailspodcast.com, hammerandnailspodcast.com.
Just one more time.
hammerandnailspodcast.com.
There you go.
And at the top of the page of hammerandnailspodcast.com, there is also an Amazon link that you can please click on every time you go to shop at Amazon. Please remember to do that, because it doesn't cost you anything extra to do that, but it actually helps us out a lot. We get a teeny tiny commission
just teeny
for you clicking our link on our website. And it helps us out a lot because we don't make any money on the
Stuff
podcast.
costs money, man.
Yeah. Speaking of not making any money on the podcast, we also have a subscription. If you wanted to help us out and just throw us a couple of small little dollars for each podcast, there's a PayPal subscription.
We've been getting a lot of donations.
People
people
are
that
very
are subscribing,
kind
they're
and
really
generous.
A lot of support out there for the podcast and what we're doing. And we really appreciate it.
Yeah, it really, because it does cost us a lot of money to actually do the podcast. So we do put that towards the costs of uploading everything and everything that's involved with doing this. So we really appreciate that. There's a link if you wanted to click on that, like $2 a week or $10 a month. We really appreciate it.
$1 an episode. So
yeah.
If this isn't worth $1, then stop listening.
Yeah, we really appreciate that, guys. So thank you if you consider doing that. We appreciate it. And if you can't, just click on our Amazon link, and that helps us out too. So that's really super appreciated. I got some random thoughts.
You do random thoughts.
I got random thoughts.
I love random thoughts.
Yeah.
This is basically like when you're driving around in your car and just something pops into your head and you just take your iPhone and record it before you forget.
I don't need you to say it. I've got this song.
Oh yeah, play the song.
They're just random thoughts that go through my head.
Alison's brain is working overtime. Could be while she's driving or standing in line. So what is she thinking? What goes through her thoughts? Is it something profound or fucking just pissed her off? You ready for random thoughts? You ready for random thoughts?
Just wondering if anybody, guys in particular, does anybody find those high-waisted shorts with that, 10-inch zipper sexy? Does anybody find that attractive? You know, those shorts with the mom zipper that makes your ass look flat. Does anybody find those sexy?
Hey, now I have a pair of those. I think they look pretty damn good on me.
So, Coachella.
I wear them with my work boots.
I'm looking at, I'm on TMZ.
My mom shorts.
Yeah, mom shorts. I'm looking at this Coachella going on in California, this music festival, and these girls, they're still this year wearing those 1980s shorts where they're very high-waisted.
Yeah, I was going to say that was big back in the 80s, right?
Yes, I wore them, and that's when it was in, and I don't get it. I don't find them attractive at all.
Like the waist came up right under your boobs?
Basically, very high, but they're also cut very short, but the zipper is super long. But it makes your ass look flat. There's no way you can have a good ass.
Are they high crotched, so you get camel toe in them, or like?
I guess it depends on your weight and the shorts that you're wearing. I don't know.
It almost feels like when you look at them, they look like someone's giving you a wedgie, right?
Yeah, and the pockets in the back are really high. I'm just wondering if you think that those shorts are sexy. Drop me a note, send me a line and tell me what it is that you find attractive about those shorts.
How about this? Better yet, if you have a pair of those shorts and you think you look sexy in them, take a picture of yourself in them.
And please send it to me.
Of course, in the bathroom with the toilet in the background.
Send it to me and tell me what is sexy about them. What looks good about those shorts?
Because you know what? I want to see that.
I want to see it too because, ever since things started getting popular with low-waisted, like with the low-waisted jeans, low-waisted shorts, and short shorts that are low-waisted, that is so sexy, I think. I don't think there's anything sexier than that. And to go the complete opposite route with that long zipper, all I keep thinking is somebody's farty mom. It's so gross.
Actually, I think the sexiest look really is the super tight, straight leg skinny jeans that are down completely below your ass, where the entire ass cheeks are both out.
You mean when dudes wear it?
Yeah, yeah.
They wear the girl jeans.
They're super, super tight around your shins and ankles, and all the way up the leg, and the crotch is down where the knees are.
Yeah,
and the whole waist of the pants and your entire belt is completely below both cheeks.
Yeah, your whole ass is out.
Now, this does require one hand to be firmly gripped on the waist of the pants at all times
to hold them up.
Yeah, so really, you are now operating with one hand only.
Yes.
So
Yes.
So,
people, if that's what you look like, be advised, you look like a dick.
Oh my God! What is with that, man? That's a whole other podcast. Save that for another one.
I know.
All right, what else you got?
I can go on.
You got another random thought there?
I do. I have another random thought.
You ever notice when you watch TV and you watch a show that you don't usually watch, and then about 2, 3, 4 months later, you're flipping through the channels and you're like, oh, let me watch that show again. And it's the same fucking episode that pisses me off.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like a show that you never watch, and then you finally decide to watch it again because it's on, and it's the same fucking episode you already saw.
Son of a...
What the what? What is with that? Do you ever notice that? It's like Murphy's Law.
Yeah, it's like karma, man. Like you were meant to watch that episode
multiple
times. Maybe you didn't get the message the first time. Somebody up there is saying, you know what? She just didn't get it.
God, that pisses me off.
She didn't get it. We're going to make her watch it again.
I can't stand that. It always happens to me. Yeah.
The strangest things piss you off.
I know.
That's great.
I have another one. Shut up.
So I laid out in the sun yesterday, fell asleep, didn't mean to stay out so long, but I ended up getting a little sunburn. On my nose. Like, what happened to the rest of my face? Is like the half inch that my nose protrudes from my face that much of a difference that the rest of my face got completely ignored by the sun? What is that?
That's like Rudolph syndrome.
How does that happen?
You just got a red nose, but the rest of your face is still white.
Why are my cheeks not the same color? What is it about the nose that makes it hog up everything from your face?
It's like
I don't understand.
It's like a sundial.
Yeah.
It like shades out the rest of the life.
I don't get it. Why is the rest of the face white?
You know what? I really don't have an answer for that. It is Tip Tuesday.
Sense.
I wish I could help you out with that, but honestly, I don't know.
It makes no sense. It pisses me off.
Yeah, you might want to look into some sort of scientific explanation.
Yeah. Like, how do you raise the rest of your face to match the nose?
Yeah, you just want to flush your whole face out so your face the flat surface.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, God, that pisses me off.
Okay.
All right, well.
Well, there you go. All the things that piss off Alison Bedell. Yes.
So.
Well, this has been fun. We like it when you guys write into us and give us all your questions for Tip Tuesday, and we like to get to them all as much as we can.
Yeah,
and
if there's
a lot
something
of them,
that you want us to talk about, also feel free to go on Facebook or Twitter and let us know, because we'd be happy to do it. If it sounds boring and shitty, we won't. But, if you got a good idea, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, make it a good question, will you?
We don't want your shitty questions.
Hey, don't give us any shitty ones. Keep them to yourself.
Yeah. So please don't forget to visit us on Facebook and Twitter. Go to hammerandnailspodcast.com. And
for the love of God, tell your friends about the podcast, will you? Spread the word. Spread the love out there.
Yeah, that is a really important thing for us, because we need to have the podcast grow. And you know that your friends don't know what the fuck a podcast is.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you guys listen to that podcast?
Yeah. So,
No.
Yeah, you need to tell your friends about the podcast. And you know what? If you can do us a personal favor.
Personal?
It's a personal favor.
Even though you don't know us, but it's still personal.
Yeah. Go to iTunes, okay? Go to the ratings and reviews for our podcast and give us a favorable review of 5 stars.
Even if you thought it sucked, just give us a favorable one.
Yeah, just do it
anyway.
as a personal favor. If you feel like writing a little blurb, something nice about us, we appreciate that. You can write a little review as well, in addition to giving us a rating. But also, this is also important. If you see good reviews, there's a little question under each review that says, was this helpful, yes or no? Click yes to the good reviews, because that puts them at the top, because that's what you see first then.
Oh, nice.
That helps us.
Yeah, that makes all the bad ones go way down to the bottom.
Exactly.
So hopefully people get tired of reading the reviews before they get to the shitty ones. They sucked!
Yeah, we don't want the people
podcast blows.
Yeah, we don't want the one of how much people hate me at the top. So we want them right at the bottom. So that helps us out a lot too.
You guys are awesome. Want to thank y'all for coming back twice a week, every week. We love you, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.